Hello, hiya, greetings. Hola, bonjour, and konnichiwa. Welcome to the channel and the very first video on the channel. Welcome back. Well, little being, I'm Yuna, Yuki, Sakura, and here's a few little things you should know about me. Not very little, though. IRL, I am 18 years old, but as the VTuber, Yuna, Yuki, Sakura, I am 16. I'm PDA. Pathological demand avoidance, for you that don't speak PDA. That is a form of autism that is not in the dictionary of Book of Autism. They literally just wiped off the face of the planet. I make variety content. This includes gaming, drawing, playing instruments, listening to music, acting like I'm streaming, even though I'm not, and many other things that I haven't thought of currently. Yuna, Yuki, Sakura comes from two things. The first bit, Yuna Yuki, comes from Yukina Dragona, which was my first name when I wanted to be a YouTuber, or a VTuber. The second part, Sakura, which is Yuna Yuki Sakura, my last name, it comes from the word cherry blossom, and I like cherry blossoms. Next is what I am. As you can see right now, I'm a cat girl, but I don't have a model currently. So I am a demon-human hybrid, but be willing for my raw and counterling parts might change, because I'm a conjunction, I'm a fusion of all of my OCs, male, female, non-binary, and entity and being. This means I could be anyone at any time, hence you can call me Elizabeth. But if you don't want to call me Elizabeth and it's too long, just call me Yuna or Miss Sakura. Yuki, you have to be a friend for that. So there's another channel with this name. Now that channel is purely unfiltered content, never edited, and it's just random. So please, warning, if you see anything weird, tell me off there. This is purely going to be all edited content and stream content. Maybe a few IRL, maybe, but that's just a maybe. I have 3 friends that are currently on YouTube. One of them doesn't make videos and one hasn't made a video in a while, and the other is a day-to-day, possibly, YouTuber. The fourth person is called HappyMilkCup. You might see, I'm gonna say them for now because I'm not quite sure on pronouns they want to be used. I think it's she, her. She is a friend that I play Roblox on with. I mean with, obviously. This is not going to be edited. First one of my friends, second technically, because I mentioned Happy Milk, Cup, is Mr. Yes Gaming. A little more on that later. Next is Demon King Dude. Now, Demon is my friend, and you're mostly going to see them on this channel and the other one. Maybe a few videos. Not a lot of shorts. Next is the biggest YouTuber I know. Currently has 808 subscribers, a lot of views. It's Thomas, the Coaster Fan. Now, I watch this guy, and a little more on that later of how I know him, and a few other things, like where to find his channel, what kind of content he makes. There is now 9 people I need to mention. 7 you need to pay close attention to, as it's to do with my VTuber lore. First is Lucifer, and before you even start, it's not Lucifer Morningstar or anything to do with the angel that rules over hell. Lucifer is the sin of pride, and he's not exactly a demon, but he is in some sorts. A little more on that later. Next is Maimon, the sin of greed. He is a dragon hybrid. Just to say, he is not a demon, so none of the sins currently are not demons. If they are demons, I'll mention it in this part. Next is Asmodeus, the most loving of the sins. Sorry for the drama, but Asmo, that's his nickname. Asmo is the sin of lust. He is in fact a demon, and I'll tell you more about that later. Next is the sins of envy. Just to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to mention them separately. So there's Levi and Lethan. Levi and Lethan make Leviathan, the sin of envy. A little more on that later. You know the drill. Next is my first favorite sin, and he is the sin of gluttony. The sin of gluttony is Beelzebub, like many people know, but here's the thing, he's not exactly the demon you would think of. Next is my second favourite. After that, it's all the other sins. But the second favourite sin is the sin of wrath, who is actually a pretty chill guy. His name is Satan. Now, he doesn't have a nickname like the others, but he is my Satan. And he is a demon of some sorts, but he's not the one you would think of. And he might have horns in his shadow. Next is the sloth sin, the twin brother to the gluttony sin. His name is Belphegor, Bel. Now, Bel is a little tinier than his older twin brother, but just know this, he's different to his older brother. So there's two people I haven't mentioned, as you can tell, and that's my mom and dad. Now, if you want to mention them in a stream or in the comments, my dad's name is Panda, he doesn't have my last name, and next is Dragon, who is my mother. So Panda's my father and Dragon's my mother. Well, I called him that because you will find out later. So let's mention them in order for content creators. So HappyMilkCup is not a content creator. They are actually just a Roblox player. They're amazing. Next is Demon King Dude. Now, as far as I know, Demon King Dude is a bit like me, but mostly will play games. Pardon me, I'm sorry for the burping. I'm trying not to, and I'm also trying to do this before I need to go to bed. Next is Mr. S Gaming, and as far as I know on their channel, his channel, it's mostly FNAF music and stuff, but I'm pretty sure he is going to be posting some point about games, hence the name, I'm guessing. And next, drum roll please, the king of the choir, the man with the most subscribers, the man that is great at what he does. He does news reports, he goes outside, and he touches grass. It is Thomas the Coaster Fan. I'm sorry for the voice. I thought it would be a theatric. He is going to be mentioned a lot in this video, and I might mention some IRL stuff, like how I know him IRL. And of course, I mentioned my unfiltered channel. That is Yuna, Yuki, Sakura, VT. And please, if you're a subscriber there, come over here. Come on. You can do it. And if you're a subscriber here and you haven't subscribed over there, please subscribe over there. It really helps both channels. And over there, I have a goal. But you already know that if you're already a subscriber over there. So I told you I'd tell you a bit more about the sins. And if you're new to the channels and you don't know who the sins are and a bit of my lore, I'll tell you a bit later. So first is Lucifer, and on the top of my head, yes, he's the sin of pride, and there's a reason for that. Vampires are very prideful. He is a noble vampire, but secretly isn't. His mother kind of cheated on his father with another creature, a demon. So he is technically a vampire demon, which is a type of demon that made the vampires. Lucifer, like the name vampire comes into mind, are prideful, and the reason for that is because, in a twisted way, he's prideful of who he is. He doesn't like hybrids that much because he is one. And if you're wondering why become a sin? All the sins, and this might be a little bit extra, and if you remember this, and I might mention this again, but all the sins don't have family left. they lost them. Lucifer still has his mother, but she's trapped in hell and he can't get her out. And his dad, excuse me for my language, but his dad is a butthole. His non-biological father is a butthole. He's the peak comedy of a vampire. He's a complete jerk. Nonetheless, he married a human. Vampires marry humans. Now, a little on Lucifer's other dad. Now, he, yes, was a demon. He was lower in class in hell. But Lucifer never found out any more information about this. He lived knowing for most of his life until his mother was captured. He didn't know he was a hybrid. So now, in a twisted sort of way, he isolates himself. And whenever he sees a hybrid, he will either regurgitate or look at you in disgust. Like you're the worst thing that has walked on two legs. Next is Maimon, and I'm doing this in chronological order of what I've got in my script. But, as I told you, Maimon, or Maimon, is a dragon hybrid. Now, a little more on that. Maimon's mother comes from a long line of dragon slayers that lived in the village, which I can't name or pronounce. It's a long way from England, just gonna say this. She never wanted to slay dragons like her father, Maimon's grandfather, but her dad was a proud and pro slayer. They have an ancestral sword, which I'll tell you more about later. Maimon's dad, now this might be the worst love story you might hear in the world, but his dad, as you can tell, is a dragon, and not just any dragon, the most biggest and human-like dragons in the world. These dragons usually stay by human sides and watch them evolve, but after Maimon's dad died, and I'll tell you in a bit, so keep tuned, there was only one left, and that comes into my VTuber lore of the other side of it, Elizabeth. Now, when Maimon's dad and mom did it, she didn't know that her family had a curse on them. It's essentially a curse because it's good for the population. I'm sorry, this might be a bit 18 plus. Warning to all people who watch this, this is not for kids. So don't lie about your age. My mom's mom had this curse of fertility, which means she can easily get pregnant. And it also means the males in their family kinda can go on all night. They have a lot of stamina. And so do dragons. And I know this might be a bit weird talking about sexual activity. I'm trying to filter myself as I speak. But, my mom's dad comes from a long line of dragons that can go, like, as fast as they possibly can. Like, if you've seen a bird fly, you know how a dragon flies. Now, the reason they died was because my mom's dad, his grandpa, the giant slayer, not the giant slayer, the dragon slayer, but they're all technical giants, found out after the village and he hunted down his dad. But that wasn't before he found out about my mom. As far as he could tell, my mom was a human baby, not a dragon hybrid. My mom could hide it pretty well, even for Yuna to couldn't tell. Now, here is the wrong thing. If you're a village, a city, please don't judge people. My mom's dad never did anything. Why slay him? And then slay his mom? For dragon loving? But, each of the sins gave Yuna an object. Now, this has something to do with my mom. My mom, when he was a little hatchling, a little baby, was given his dragon scales. Warning to all people who are underage, this bit is a bit spicy. Now, his dad had a cloak. A cloak. And they lived pretty olden times, so they did it in a barn. Just gonna say it, they did it in a barn. And because his dad was a gentleman and he treated his mother like she was a queen all the time, all the flippin' time, he laid down his cloak, the cloak that have hidden him from humans for centuries. And before he died, he gave his son this cloak. So if I ever draw him, or I find something, like a reference, and I draw the cloak, you're gonna see some patches. They're either blood or sauce. And not the sauce you should be looking at. Or tasting. That implies blood is good for tasting. So yeah, and you might be wondering, what did his mom give him? Well, his mom did the worst thing. The worst thing on the earth. She gave up the family sword, the heirloom that slayed dragons, and he keeps that in his hoard, while reducedly playing that his grandfather died in acne. Joking, he never wished that. He loved his grandpa, and his grandpa never actually slayed his dad or his mom. He actually cried for her and was a bit peed off that his daughter went with the dragon, but when he figured out how handsome that dragon was, he figured out why my mom looks like that. Next is Asmodeus. Asmodeus, as his sin implies, is the sin of lust. He is an incubus. Well, there is a species of incubus and succubus that you can be both. In my world, they can be both. Why does he have to stick with gender? The newer generation is the newer generation. So, Asmodeus's mom, well, she was a succubus that worked in a red district. Now, if you don't know, red districts are essentially where you pay someone to do it with you, but his mom was forced. She was a working succubus, and working succubuses by the law of that time had to work. And they weren't paid in money. They were paid in food. But she begged her boss, the boss that was running where she lived at the current time, to pay. All of her clients had to pay for the maximum amount of pleasure. Sorry for that. No, I haven't mentioned his dad yet, but his dad is an incubus, as it does imply. Succubi and incubi can make babies, like they can do with other creatures. It's just a little bit harder with other creatures, unless they're a hybrid of a certain sound or type. His dad was a royal guard. He was the lowest class. Incubi have a certain job. They have certain jobs. They either are working incubi, which means they look different. They are guard incubi or royal incubi. Royal incubi including advisors and royal assassins. Asmodeus's mom sadly passed away. Not due to too much banging. Sorry for the word. But due to the fact that she was killed by someone who found out she was married and had a kid. And Asmodeus was only a little one. His dad was killed by royalty. He didn't marry a noble line. So the king at the time executed him, even though he worked tirelessly. But before his dad could die, here's a fun fact. Incubi can do magic. They always can. They just don't usually do it. His dad cast a spell to send Asmodeus up into the human world, and he was taken in by an orphanage. This is a bit of lore, yes, but he made his own orphanage. his lust, his horniness, may I say, is because that's how he reacts to people. That's literally his way of saying, stay away from me, I find you a creep. And you might wonder, in my other channel, I said he raised me. All these sins raised me. If you're not seeing that, they have raised me. They have raised Yuna. Asmodeus was like a mom. He didn't teach me anything sexual. Anything to do with doing it. He taught me how to dress and be a proper lady. And he also taught me other things. Like how to do my hair. So next, without mentioning too much on some of their trinkets, unless it's doing to the law, next is, let me think, Leviathan. Leviathan is actually two people. Was now one entity. Levi and Lethan. Lethan, or Leviathan, was his full name, but he thought it was a bit weird. He was nicknamed Lethan, was a sea serpent. He was a juvenile. He didn't know what he was doing most of the time. And Levi was a teenager. He was a human. He lived his life. He had a family, while Lethan just sat on the sea and on the cliffs watching this little dude live his life next to the sea. They made a pact. They made a friendship. And with that, they decided one day to fuse themselves. It was agonizing for both of them, but they knew that the jealousy, the envy of one another, one to be free of all the earthly chains, to be free in the sea, and the other one longing for a family. They made a pact, and with that, Leviathan was made. Leviathan lived his life in seclusion. He loved it that way. But just to say now, he is a bit two-faced. One minute you're talking to Levi, who's a sweet, loving little guy who loves you and wants to nurture you, and then you meet Lethan. Now, he's a bit of a jerk. He can be sometimes. But they both care. One of them might not show it when they're in control. But they both care. Next, as I said before, my first favourite sin, the sin of gluttony, Beelzebub. Now, Beel and his brother, now I will mention Beel for, lived with their mom. Now, the mom had an ability that no human should possess. The ability to survive vampires. She was essentially a human pet. She was the pet to the vampires, she was their personal blood bag, and they tried it on with Beel. Not Beel, Bell. Beel wasn't even touched. He was looked after by his dad. Now, if you don't know, they both have separate dads. A little more than that. Beelzebub. His dad is a jackal. A jackal is an ancient type of werewolf. They live and prowl and they look like humans, but there are different types, many, and some of them even turn into werewolves or druids, which are werewolf types that mostly look like humans but live in olden times, even if they have a technology. But you might be wondering, how would he be a demon? Well, after certain things, warning, this may contain content sensitive a lot, and it may be to do with murder and priests. You might not like it, but I'm sorry. They lived in an orphanage that had crazed priests that killed the orphans for sacrifice. But one day they messed up the schedule. They messed it up so bad. They didn't mean to kill these children, but they killed Beelzebub and Belphegor. Beelzebub, He's a jackal-human hybrid. But when he died, he became something else. He was a devourer jackal hybrid. Devourers are a type of demonic species that live to devour something. They are born from matter people, old or young. Some are even known to be newborns or freshly out the womb when they die. And the first thing they want to do when they come back is get revenge, but Beelzebub never did that. His jackal instincts wouldn't let him. Next is Satan! I looked scared, I'm sorry. Satan wasn't human. Yes, he was a demon, but he was nicer when he was young. He had an older brother that wore glasses, and they're all gone. All gone. But he wasn't always a demon. He was a hybrid. But when he became wrathful and hurt so many people, he became full demon. He couldn't get his humanity back. I'm in sorely pain. So when he finally calmed down, he realized he would never get his humanity back. He was stuck like this. He was scared for the longest time until he found the other sins. Satan might be mean sometimes. Just telling you a bit of his personality, but he is sweet and kind, and his family had the ability of turning into animals. That's the type of demon he is. He could turn into a cat, and he had scars from that. Next, and I'm sorry I'm so close, is Beelzebub, the sin of sloth. Now his mom, as I said, was the same mom as Beelzebub. They just have two different dads. Beelzebub's being a jackal and Balthavar's being, well, they're called dream creatures. Not anything demonic. He is a human. Dream watchers or creatures, they're human too. They just lose their immortality. Their mortality, not their immortality. So when he died, he was the same as always. This skinny boy, but now he had muscles. Yeah. He has a tail like any other of the sins. They all have tails. They're different, but they all have tails. So you might be wondering, why mention the sins? Why not do a lore video? Well, they are who they are. They love who they want to love. That's just them. They all have tragic pasts. They all are based off of something. They're all sad. Next, and if you stay tuned, is my friends. I have 4 friends, and I've mentioned them before. I knew them all in school. Mr. Yes Gaming, Demon King Dude, HappyMilkCup, and Thomas the Coaster Fan. At first, it was just me, Mr. Yes, and Demon King Dude. First was Mr. Yes. So yeah, it was just us 3. Then HappyMilkCup came along. At the time, they were quiet. Very quiet. They had plushies around, and they're cute. They're amazing, and now we're friends. Now here's the thing. Thomas the Coaster Fan won't like me saying, and I have mentioned before. But Thomas and I, Mr. Coaster Fan and I, Mr. the Coaster Fan did bully me a little with another boy. They were both jerks. Yes, that's what happens if you get people who are roughly the same in the same school. People didn't understand that. And it took me a while And it took my parents a while to find out he was bullying me with this other boy. But after leaving school, yes, he did it again. And I'm not saying he's a bully. Please do not send hate if you do see this. He's a great guy. Yes, he had his opinion. Yes, I may look different. Me, look, act, everything else different. But as soon as, I don't know, I think it was like the second or third year, we became friends. And so did the other guy. As soon as we were gonna leave, we became friends after a lot of bullying. But bullies and friends is kind of cool. And he's kind of cool. He's amazing. And if he doesn't like this part of the video, I will tell him, hi, can you please tell me in the comments? I do mention you. I will at you, and I will put, if you're any of these people, please watch the full video. But here's the thing that you don't know about Thomas the Ghost Man. He is a ding-dong. He's an amazing ding-dong, and I love my friends. That does include him. A little, that might sound bad, but it does. We have eventually reconnected after a few years, I think it's like 4 or 2, of non-connection from him. He ghosts everyone, no matter what. I did watch his channel at the time because I do like coasters. I've never been on one. I might have when I was younger, but I've never been on one. Where was I? Oh yes. We are friends, as you can hear the taps going on, and we're reconnected. I have his number, he has mine. He's a great guy, you should watch him. And you should watch my other friends, especially when they post again, and my other channel. I'll do a lore video later, but just as you know, dragon and panda do not fit into lore. They have nothing to do with it actually, and I do have a sticker for panda, which I might show on screen. I don't have yet an image of dragon, but I will draw one. It might be a chibi though. But yeah, that's all I got for today, and it might be the shortest video I've ever watched, ever, on anything I've done, but it's edited, it takes a while, and I need to take medication. By the way, here's the thing I didn't mention. I take medication to sleep. I produce no melatonin. I use medication, and one day I won't have them because the doctors say, oh, screw it, you don't need that anymore because you're old enough. So hopefully I do sleep until then and get into the habit of it. Thank you for watching my goofy video, and if you're a friend, hi. I'm sorry if I mentioned anything bad, especially about Thomas the Minecraft fan, coaster fan. He used to be called the Minecraft fan. But yeah, hope you guys liked the video. Thank you for watching, and here comes the outro. I'm working very hard on those.
She whispers to shadows at night, her thoughts caught up in silent flight. She walks halls where ghosts strand, people laugh, they don't understand. She dances with ghosts of daydreams, in her world everything's extreme. Panics rise and fall like tides, in her mind nowhere to hide. Invisible echoes in her heart, world so dark it falls apart. They mock the color she can see, why is different hard to be? Her senses scream in silent pain, raindrops fall with whispers fade. Outside they see just a face, inside storms within her gaze. Invisible echoes in her heart, world so dark it falls apart. They mock the color she can see, why is different hard to be? Invisible echoes in her heart, world so dark it falls apart. They mock the color she can see, Voices fade into the noise. She longs just to find her voice. Fingers tap to rhythms unseen. She's a stranger in their me. Voices fade into the noise. She longs just to find her voice.
Spakabaka well do you book and put you and that well to book and boo. And waltz so dark it falls apart. They mock the colors she can see. Why is different hard to be? I know.
Fingers tap to rhythms unseen. She's a stranger in their me. Voices fade into the noise. She longs just to find her voice. Fingers tap to rhythms unseen.